You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Ready to stand, face the American flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Bow your head with me. Dear Heavenly Father, just thank you for today. Thank you for the rain you've given us the last several days, God. I just pray that we use today as just a special day to do your will. And we just ask for the guidance to do the business of the county, God. I just pray right now for the first responders, men and women in law enforcement, that they have extra protection, God, and they can go home to their families. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen.
Last opportunity, is there anyone in here who would like to address something not on the agenda?
All right, so item number 2, work session to review the bills. Any questions on the motion?
Make a motion to approve the bills.
I have something for the bills.
Okay.
There is a PO included in the bills for the 2 squad cars that the sheriff's department purchased. They delivered them here and invoiced us for the total amount, but I believe there's going to be trade-ins. So the sheriff is going to talk to them about re-invoicing us after they get the vehicles that we are trading in. And so that we can just pay the difference instead of trying to get the money back from them for the trade-ins.
I think we discussed trade-ins on which one?
Those 2 Ford Rangers.
Yeah, he bought 2 Ford Rangers,
Oh,
or no, not
okay,
Rangers,
okay.
Explorers.
Explorers. No, sorry.
He bought the 2 Ford Explorers, and I believe that they were gonna be, I don't know which vehicles were gonna be traded in. But there were gonna be some trade-ins that need to be accounted for. Sorry,
It's being worked on right now, so we should have another invoice for him today.
okay. So I would like to take those out of the bills.
Okay.
So that would make the total for the bills $240,64.12.
We have to say that specially to take those out or just approve?
I think you can approve all the bills except for the one to Caldwell Country Club.
We'll make a motion to approve the bills with the exception of the
Caldwell.
Caldwell bill.
I second it. All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Passes.
Also, if you can move the audit up to the beginning.
I was going to, oh, he is here. Okay.
Whatever y'all want to do, I'm easy.
Yes, sir.
I thought you had somewhere else.
No,
Yeah.
I'm here just for you today.
Okay, good.
We're going to go ahead and move you up if
Okay.
you want to do that so you can get back to Amarillo. Because Judge mentioned, I didn't even see you come in. So
Okay.
we have John Maris here with the audit report. We should have that given to you last time.
At long last, right?
That'd be great.
We've actually had everything printed and ready for you for about a month now. Just, I need commissioners across the panhandle to meet more frequently. That will never happen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Maris. I'm the audit partner with Dosher Pickens and Francis, your external auditors. Before I begin, I do want to thank this court for allowing us to once again come over and serve Hutchinson County in that capacity. You've got a tremendous group of individuals here in the courthouse. Alicia has stepped in and has been doing an amazing job with everything that we've been seeing. So I'm going to be singing the praises of your officials throughout the day. I used to have a joke about chaining them all to their desks, but I was told that violates election laws. So that's kind of a touchy subject these days. So I guess I'll stop saying that. But you really do have a good group of people. The ones that have announced their retirements are. I'm y'all may be glad. I'm not. There's gonna be some big shoes to fill here in the coming years. All right, with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into this. Page number 1 is our independent auditors report. This has not changed significantly over the previous years. So I'm just gonna hit the two paragraphs that I have to as a matter of standard. The first one being the first paragraph on page 1. This is rapidly going to become Alicia's absolute favorite because it's the one that puts her on the hook. It talks about that the management of the county is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America, including designing and implementing internal controls to ensure that they're free of material misstatement, whether due to error or fraud. Now, what that translates to in English, because I recognize I was not, is that these first 2 pages of this book are mine. The rest of it is supposed to be hers. The reason why I have to bring that to your attention is because the Government Accountability Office, the lovely folks in DC that write the standards I have to abide by, are trying to make a fairly serious push to state by assisting you in preparing your financial statements, we're impairing our independence. What they ideally want you to see or want to see happen is that every entity, regardless of size or budget, either has somebody on hand, on staff that can prepare the financial statements in their entirety, including the no disclosures, or that you hire 2 firms, one to come in and do the financial statement prep and one to come in and do the audit. That would be economically devastating to the Panhandle. Outside of Potter Randall County, nobody has the budget to absorb that. Thankfully, they have continued to allow us to work around where we have the county auditor and the county judge sign off on what we call a management representation letter. And it starts to us that they have read through the financial statements and that she is willing and able to accept responsibility for them, and that all the information on the county has been made available to us. Nothing was kept hidden or secret. My prayer every night is that we can keep doing that for the next 20 years because I really don't know what a change would look like. So darkest news of the morning, get it out of the way early. The other item is the second paragraph on page 2. The county has omitted the management's discussion and analysis report that accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America requires to be presented. What this is really a letter that be written primarily out of the auditor's office, but with significant input from the court and from the treasurer's office as well. That talks about what's happening in the county beyond just the numbers. What's happened historically, economically, to bring you to where you are today, and where this court hopes to see the Hutchinson County go in the next 5, 10, 15 years. None of that is information that I would have access to, so I can't prepare it on your behalf. What I can do is conclude that paragraph by stating that our opinion is not affected by the omission of the MD&A. Long story short, as long as you don't do anything silly, like submit your audit to the Government Finance Officers Association to get their pretty little certificate, nobody else will ever say anything about it being missing. So if you're good with the omission, so are we. Okay. TA stuff's out of the way, let's talk numbers. Page 3, the statement of net position. This is all the funds of the county aggregated together into a singular unit with all of the long-term assets and liabilities presented. The left-hand column is the governmental activities, your general fund, road and bridge funds, all the little non-major funds, the $1 and $2 fines and fees that the clerks and the JPs get to collect that they love ever so much. There's my smile. The business type activities would be the airport coming into the total, which is the countywide. At the top of the page, governmental activities, you ended the year with cash and cash equivalents of $12.7 million. That's up $2.7 million over the previous year. The biggest change is the ARPA money that you received, a little over $2 million of that. The airport really didn't have a whole lot of changes. Cash is down about $21,000, and that's really the biggest change. So we're just going to really talk about the governmental activities. Moving our way down that page there, the next big change, accounts payable of $444,000. It's about the middle of the page. It's up $230,000 over the previous year. Right at the end of 2021, you had some invoices for some roof work, vehicles, tires, fuel that were just somewhat unexpected and brought there at the end. So that's the increase there. The due to other governmental agencies of $2 million, that's your ARPA money. The reason why it is being presented there rather than as a revenue source is actually due to guidance out of the Treasury Department. Their theory is that with this particular grant, if you don't spend it in time, you're supposed to refund it back to them. Ends up being shown as a liability. As soon as you spend the funds, you have therefore recognized revenue, and at that point, it'll be reclassified off the balance sheet and over to the income statement. I don't know of anybody who's not going to spend the money. So why we have to do this, I don't know, but we do, and there it is. The net pension liability is moving all the way over to the total column of $492,000. That is a $850,000 increase over the previous year. If you'll remember, last year you had a net pension asset. This year, CCDRS did some some actuarial and inflation studies and mortality studies that they built into your liability. That's the predominant reason for the swing back to having a liability versus an asset. They are still showing you at the end of their valuation year 94.3% funded. So your retirement plan is very well funded and taken care of. At the bottom of the page, the unrestricted net position. If the county were to take all of your assets, convert them to cash, pay off all your obligations, this is what you'd be left over with. Governmental activities, a little over $9 million, $650,000 increase over the previous year. And the airport, $82,000. It's about a $19,000 decrease over the previous year. So in total, you increase the equity reserves of the county by a significant amount of money. Some of the calculations that I run for you, we looked at the annual expenditures and averaged them out evenly over a 12-month period to see what kind of reserves you're sitting on. And it's a theoretical type discussion, but it's a fairly decent metric. Basically saying that you could operate in the general fund 6.8 months without having to collect any additional revenue and maintaining the budget that you had for 2021. That's a strong financial condition to be in. We usually recommend anywhere from 3 to 6 months to get you through those lean summers where the tax collections are kind of dismal, and a little bit of excess over that in case something unexpected were to happen. The airport with their calculation is sitting at 1.3 months. Something interesting to note is that those are the exact same ratios that you had in 2020. You kept your equity reserves exactly flat where they were in the previous year, which is somewhat unheard of, but very good. The other calculation I run for you is your current ratio. The county's ability just using your current year resources, so cash and receivables, to pay off the obligations that are due and payable in fiscal 22 in this case. So the general fund could pay off its obligations 5 times over. Now that does include the assumption that you're going to pay the ARPA money back. Since we all know you're not going to, you're going to spend it. Take that out of the equation, you could pay off your obligations 23 times over. So you have excellent cash reserves that you're sitting on as well. The airport could pay off its obligations 4 times over. So countywide, everything is looking really, really strong and really good. The court has positioned itself very, very well to handle things. Page 4, the statement of activities. Top left-hand corner, you have the expenses of the county broken down by what we call functional area, and then moving across the top of the page, you have any direct charges for services and the operating grants or capital grants that were received, coming into what it truly costs to provide those functions. And then down those right-hand columns, you have your general revenues, property taxes, payments in lieu of taxes, so on and so forth. These things are not program specific, they can be applied across the board. Coming down to the change in net position or net income and business terms. As far as the expenses go, we did have a little bit of a spike in the general fund or the governmental activities, $15.8 million. It's up about $995,000 or 7% over the previous year. That's primarily sitting in one line item in the public safety line there. It's the $916,000 that you, I don't want to say gave, the check that you wrote to the city of Borger for the dispatch tower and equipment, that partnership that y'all are entering into. After a pretty lengthy investigation, we did determine that equipment is going to eventually just be theirs. So we showed it as an expenditure of the county rather than one of your assets, because it's not yours. Yes, sir.
That should be ours.
That should be yours?
Yes, sir.
Everything we
Transfer our contract, they're going to transfer the ownership to the county.
That is not the direction we heard it going.
Okay.
The contracts that we saw, everything we read said it was going the other direction.
Okay.
So we will apparently need to revisit that. If you'll send me an email, Alicia, and let me know. We saw that going the other direction.
Okay.
So I will gladly make some changes if I need to. Because that was actually it was not a cleanly worded contract either. So it was kind of an odd situation. So I'm more than happy to say, because I would like for it to be your asset, because it makes sense for it to be your asset.
Yes, sir.
So, okay, the rest of it, the business type activities, the airport, $757,000 are down $203,000 over the previous year. So you saved some money there. The biggest changes are the fuel costs. You saved $153,000 over 2020. I'm sure you're not going to see that again. Depreciation is also down about $62,000 over the previous year. As far as revenues are concerned, your operating grants increased $589,000. Most of it was COVID money sitting in the administrative line item. You also did get a tech stock grant in the road bridge line item of about $320,000 as well. Those were your increases there. Property taxes of $13.1 million are up $550,000 over the previous year. That's a 4% increase in recognized tax revenue. That was purely related to the increase in valuation that you received. Your valuation went up 4%, you held your tax rate flat, and you generated an additional $500,000 of revenue. Everything else stayed pretty consistent year over year. Starting on page 5 is the fund level presentation. This is more akin to what you're used to seeing coming out of the treasurer and the auditor's office on a monthly basis. You'll see the various major funds separated out by themselves. You won't see any of the long-term assets or liabilities here. Nothing about the pension plan or fixed assets. The even numbered pages, 6 and 8, are the reconciliations between this fund level presentation and what we've already gone over. So since there's no new information, I'm just going to skip over it, letting you know that that's where it is, so for your own information. Pages 9 through 12 are the retelling of the airport funds, or fund, pardon me. Again, the bureaucratic nonsense that I have to abide by. I have to give you these exact same numbers. Again, there's literally no difference. I have no idea why I have to give them to you twice, but I do. But there they are. Page 15 starts the notes to the financial statements. The ones that I think are going to be of the most interest to you. I'm not going to go over these in any great detail just because I'll put everyone in the room to sleep. I know, I wrote them. The first one being note number 4 on page 25. This is not a required disclosure. This is something that our firm adds in for the benefit of the court and for your readers. Again, it's another theoretical type discussion, but it does talk about the constitutional limit. The state of Texas says you can assess some property taxes compared to where you actually are. And I say it's a theoretical discussion because you're never going to be able to max out the one you can. You're not quickly going to be able to max out your tax rate. And we're not going to talk about rollback elections or anything like that. So it's theoretically saying that should the need arise and should you get over the other hurdles that are in your place, were you to max out your tax rate, you could generate an additional $4.6 million of revenue to combat an unexpected catastrophe that befell the county. And that doesn't even get into the discussion of enacting the road and bridge and the lateral road rates that you could also adopt as well. Again, that's all going to be up to voters and elections, but these are just letting the readers know that the court has left itself tools to maneuver. You have the excellent cash reserves we've already talked about, the excellent equity reserves we've already talked about. We haven't gotten to your debt yet, but you are basically, no, not basically, you are debt free as of the end of September. I don't know if anything's changed since then. I was trying to get a smile, so okay. And then there's the fact that you can maneuver within your tax rate as well. So you really have left yourself every tool available to you to handle a situation as it arises. Okay. Note number 7, starting on page 28, is the lengthy discussion on your retirement plan. It is very good information, but there's a chart in the back that summarizes it a little bit better. Note number 10 on page 38, this is your long-term liability discussion. It does show you that the note payable that you took out back in 2016 has been paid off or paid in full and removed from your balance sheet. So the only liabilities or long-term liabilities you have are your compensated absences now. And those are working the way that you would kind of expect them to. You did see a little bit of a decrease, $75,000 decrease year over year in the governmental activities. So your compensated absences balances are coming down, but that's just up to your employees. Page 40 is the budgetary comparison schedule for the general fund, broken down by department. So the court can go through and see how each one of your officials did with the budget that you provided them. Nothing really to disclose here. Everything looked fine for the most part. Page 42 is the exact same discussion on the road and bridge department. Okay, so now that brings us to page 43. That is the 10-year trend on your retirement plan. This is the best representation for what's really happening within your plan that I can give you. It breaks it down year over year. So on the 2020 valuation, and the reason why it's the 2020 valuation, even though we're in the 2021 year, TCDRS does all of their valuations on December 31st for the subsequent year. So your 9/30/21 audit is your 12/31/20 TCDRS valuation. It gets very confusing. I'm going to make it even worse in a minute, I promise. And that 2020 valuation column, the 4th line down, you see the effective assumption changes in inputs of almost $2.4 million. That is the valuation study that they did in 2019 over mortality, the expected age of your staff, and the inflation factors at that time. So they did that study in 2019, rolled it into their 2020 valuation for you to see in your 2021 audit. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because of the inflation that we're living through right now. So they should be doing another inflation study this year that'll roll into your let's see, they're going to do it this year. So it'll be in the 2023 valuation on your 2024 audit. So this way you can kind of keep it in the back of your mind that the TCDRS required contribution rates more likely than not are going to be going up in the not too distant future. They are very good at keeping you stable and keeping your plan well-funded and keeping your required contribution rates kind of up where they need to be. I know you've probably already got your 2023s out, right? So we'll see exactly what happens and when that's going to spike, but it is something to bear in mind that what we're living through now, you're going to see the effects of it in these numbers in about 3 years. So the other item really to point out to you is in the middle of the page there, the investment income net of investment expenses. You can track that across the page. This is how your plan performs in the market. They guarantee you a certain rate of return, but over a long-term period. So we're going to have individual spikes and valleys, peaks and valleys year over year. That's one of the main reasons why we have fluctuations in that balance sheet number that we've already talked about. But you can track this across, like I said, and when they have a good year, you have a really good year and vice versa. So we'll just see kind of what happens. It's completely outside of your control, but that's kind of what's going on there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much the ball game. I will point out pages 47 through 52. These are the balance sheet and income statements on all of your non-major funds. This is not required information. We actually put these schedules in for the benefit of the court. This way you can put your eyes on every single fund and every single dollar of the county and know exactly how everything is working. Nothing really to disclose or discuss here. Each one of these non-major funds is working very, very well. Your officials, as I've said, are doing an excellent job at keeping track of the funds coming into their offices. To really point that out, though, is page number 53. This is the combined statement on these fiduciary net position. This is the money that the officials are holding in their offices on behalf of others outside of the county. Best example, the inmate trust fund and for the benefit of the inmate, the county registry funds, money are being held for defendants until they reach the age of majority, so on and so forth. One of the procedures that we do is that we go in conjunction with the county auditor's office. We basically go into each one of these officials' offices and make sure that they are keeping track of who their money is owed to and that they are really adequately accounting for those funds. So that if they were to ever leave office, which you're not allowed to do, if they're ever to leave office, then their successor would come in and know exactly that everything was lined out and taken care of and there's no money missing. And to a T, each one of your officials are amazing. They're keeping very good records and very good track of their funds, and they know exactly who every penny in their office is owed to. So I really cannot sing their praises enough. Please don't let them retire. And that is, like I said, that is the ballgame. We will do some more digging on the dispatch tower and see which one of us is right. Terrified it's not me. But we will get that corrected for you if we need to. So with that, are there any questions or concerns that I can address for you? The crickets. Either I did good or everyone's asleep.
Thank you, John.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So I will entertain a motion to approve the report.
Make a motion to approve the report.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Hey,
Gentlemen, ladies, again, thank you for your time this morning, and I'll be visiting with you about that contract and get it worked out. All right, thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you.
all right, so we will jump back up to number 4, consider and approve payroll. Okay, we'll ask Kathy, I guess, when she gets back in. Did she sent it out? She did send it out.
There isn't.
No payroll.
Number 5, accept additions and or corrections to previous commissioners court meeting.
And the corrections on the June 13th meeting.
Item number 6, public comment. Anybody have anything to say? This is the time to say it. Number 7, consider, discuss, approve any and all items necessary pertaining to the county jail.
Have my count. There's 48 inmates here today, 39 males, 9 females, and then I have additional 7 still in cars.
Number 8, consider, discuss, approve any and all items necessary pertaining to the county courthouse.
The chairlift at South Door is finally being installed. They got lost in freight somewhere a couple of weeks. The courthouse and jail roofs have not received proposal back on those yet. Should hear in a few days. Courthouse generator is fixed and working. It's completed, should be fine. I think that's about all I got on courthouse.
So item 9, consider and approve county-specific incentive program for the 22-23 plan year. That's just basically the wellness incentive program. You should have gotten it. We do that every year.
Need to do on it.
Just make a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the wellness program.
We have
I'll second it.
and a second. Number 10, consider and or approve interlocal agreement with Stinnett for housing animals. Sent that out to you guys. You have enough time to look it over. Is
Just a minute.
there anything you want to add, Sheriff?
Those rates comparable to what Border had?
It should be. I didn't get this. I mean, we got that this morning, so
Yeah. Oh, well, I looked at the rates.
they should be transferred back to the people to pick them up. But obviously, if they don't pick them up, it's going to come to us. Yes, sir.
So they had approved it, or the city did.
Right.
But I don't know, not aware, but this comes into play if the deputy pulls someone over that maybe traveled through and they have a dog or something. And you need a place to put dogs out of town, so that is an into agreement that basically up there in this area, they'll take custody of the dog. Or let's say for some reason there's a dog up at the split up here and no one owns it. And Border's not gonna take it, we gotta do something with the dogs to net has agreed to take us to the animal. But only in extreme circumstances, every day thing.
Doesn't happen often.
No, this is just helps us out. Sure.
Have we used Border since we approved that?
I don't know, I don't think we do something related.
Move to enter into interlocal agreement regarding the trying to see what a title of this would be. Regarding use of animal shelter for Stinnett.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Item number 11, consider and approve designation of officer for tax rate calculation. This is just a formality that we designate Kimmel as the officer, unless you decided you didn't want to anymore.
I move to designate Carrie Kimmel as the designated officer for the tax rate calculations.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Item number 12, consider and approve interlocal agreement with Hansford County for seal coating.
This is our annual agreement that we do to assist them with their seal coating. This job specific, each job is on there that they want to do this year. Did take it to Craig, he looked it over, said everything looks good.
Question on that. According to this, it's 7 miles worth.
Yeah, I think that's what they got this year.
And you go do lay the rock and the tar and everything.
No, thing we take to Hanford County is the asphalt truck. They have their own chip spreader stuff. I don't know how long it's going to be operable. It's in really bad shape, but we take the asphalt truck, and then this year we'll be taking the broom. That's the only 2 things we'll be taking. Take 2 employees.
How long do you think this take?
We can do probably a little over a mile a day. Sometimes they get our transport, and we double up on asphalt. And we can, we can get over a mile a day easy. But they just
That's quite a bit more than you did last year, though. wasn't it?
Yeah, some years they do more, and some years they do less, just depending on what they got.
We still need to get in the contracting business. Doing quite a bit. All the questions I have, but I wished it was cut back a little bit, to be honest with you. We can't take care of all our stuff here, going out for other counties. Like last year, a day or two, that's pretty good, but we, 2 weeks with 2-3 guys?
2 guys would be done it for, let's say, at least 6 days, yeah.
A week, a little over.
And we'll still have other interlocal agreements coming too to look at.
Would you feel like that puts you in a bind to get everything done still with the schedule?
Yeah, I mean, we've always managed to get them done, get a couple of them out, take care of it. There's some cases where it just depends on the weather and how our stuff plays out. We don't have any grant money this year to work with, so our numbers for still coming this year are way down compared to what they were last year. So it kind of balances out, but we'll get it done. I mean, if it's something we need to do, we're going to go do it. We'll manage to get it done.
I moved to enter into an interlocal agreement between Hansford County and Hutchinson County, number 2002-2022, my Lord, -1.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Yep, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Thanks, Dwayne. So item 13, consider and or approve resignation of Terry Webster, Constable Precinct 1. We have the letter from Terry sent out. I'll get a chance to read that.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say, Terry?
Just thank y'all. I enjoyed it. I just got it off where I could. Okay, so that's all the reason on that.
This is kind of my first other than Edie. Do they publicly read their resignation or just?
They haven't had to in the
Okay.
past. I mean, he could, but
No, I don't want to make it weird.
sad music.
Yeah. I can pull up
So
some.
we do need a motion and a second to accept his resignation.
I'll make a motion to accept the resignation.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Thank you, Terry. Appreciate you, man. Because the charger was purple, wasn't it? Because the charger was purple.
No more new cars. You see what happens.
Right. All right, so item 14, consider and or approve the resignation of Yeti Rodriguez, JP Precinct 2. Same thing, you got her letter. Any Judge, is there anything you would like to say?
I just want to thank y'all for working with y'all, and I want to thank the citizens of Hutchinson County for entrusting me and the confidence they've had the last 6 years. I've been trying not to cry. It's been a great 6 years, but I want to thank the citizens, in the primary, the last one, for re-electing me. At this time, I'm going to start a new chapter in my life and get married. So, optimism when I go.
Congratulations. We're going to.
I move to accept the resignation.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? All right, item 15, consider and approve appointment to fulfill the unexpired term for Constable Precinct 1 and JP Precinct 2 and the application period. So basically what this is, we want to be as transparent as possible to the voters and the people. In the past, we have opened it up. When Dell passed away, we opened it up for applications for people that were interested to get.
How long was that period?
It's up to us. You know,
Well, how long was it per day?
that was the judge appointed, so I don't remember how long.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Took application. So that was just her decision. So with this, you know, this is a commissioner's court appointment. So we, you know, everything that we do has to be on the up and up, you know, public and transparent, which, you know, we want to do that. I was thinking, you know, about two weeks this week and then end it on Thursday at about 5 next week. And then-
Agree with that.
and then deciding where to go from there after we see who's interested in qualifications. So that's what we have to decide. We have to decide application period, all of that.
How long is the judge out of office?
She should be back at the end of this week. She's in, I think it's a week conference.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was okay with, right. She was okay with the 2 weeks. So she.
Oh,
should
I'm not
have-
worried about that, just where they should
should
send their emails.
So, yeah, I mean, we'll get with Kathy and Judge on that. We're going to put it on the website
Okay.
about who to submit it to. I mean, it will
Oh,
be
okay.
Judge.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll put the details on the website. What we need is we need to I'd entertain a motion to take applications with a set period for both, if you want to do both positions.
Make a motion that we accept 2-week period for applications.
Which date?
Thursday, that'd be June.
30th.
July.
Oh, July.
4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. July 7th.
You're saying through July 7th?
We start today.
We could start today. Well, I mean, if
Oh,
he wants, on your motion, do you want to?
Yeah, yes,
Effective
Okay.
today?
that's the motion.
Because that does give us a timeline, you know, both resignations will be effective July 31st. So that gives us time to still look at what we get in and still do possibly interviews and all that good stuff and have that the next couple of meetings.
And are they gonna email these to Cindy?
We're going to put it on the website. So I'm sure she'll be the contact.
Okay,
I'm going to volunteer.
okay. Are
Since
you
she's-
gonna put it on the website?
We'll get Russell to, however they put it on there.
I'll second your motion.
So we have a motion and a second to take applications for both positions up until Thursday, July 7th. All in favor?
I probably should have asked this question before we move. I'm all for what we just voted on. What's the criteria? I know whenever I applied for Dale's position, I sent a resume and a cover letter. I don't know what
It's
we'd
going to
be
be,
looking for.
well, it's going to be an application to work and resume cover letter.
Okay,
Same
They'll
thing.
have to meet the requirements on state statute.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And for the individuals, obviously, they have to meet
Yeah.
qualifications for the office. Yeah, so if you're here for that position, check the website and we will get that information out to you guys and get that going for everybody. So item 16, consider and approve JAG grant for criminal investigator.
Make sure you guys, everyone had the back. I have a few copies. Well, I guess it's lengthy. I'm not gonna go through every portion of it, but the first page, if you guys are gonna have the nice color copy, which is gonna be a lot easier to read. So the JAG grant is the Justice Assistant Grant. Basically what it is, the departments can utilize it for different things. What we're looking at utilizing it for would be for a criminal investigator position. I know that we'd already, Chief Graham had sort of mentioned it at our county court, I believe it was 2 or 3 months ago. So we started the process and I had to submit the grant due to a time restraint that had to be submitted by a certain point. So the grant has been submitted for a investigator position, and we have the resolution that we're, it's the second to last page on the packet that you guys have. The resolution is needing to be signed as the next portion. What the grant entails basically is the first year is entirely paid by the governor's office. Second year, if you look at the first page, it actually tells you the breakdown. The second year is going to be at 80% is going to be by the state, 20%. Third year is 60% by the state, 40% to the county, and it goes 40, 60 on the fourth year, and 20 by the state, and 80 by the county on the fifth year. And we would assume the entire responsibility of the salary of an investigator. If you include Social Security, retirement, everything totaling, the salary itself, it's going to be $83,000, just a little over, a hair over. So this would make it a little easier for us to be able to assume the costs of a 5-year period. I think it'd be really beneficial. The two things that I see the largest benefit out of right now is I know we've had a problem with comp time, so to be able to alleviate some comp time. Everybody here knows that we've had an issue with comp time. It's just we don't have enough staff to cover the hours that we need. Adding additional people obviously cuts down on comp time. Another thing, the second, probably most important thing is we're doing a disservice to the people in the county. We're not able to properly investigate due to time constraints on our investigations. We don't have people that have proper training sometimes that are out on scene to assist in a lengthy investigation. Right now we have a couple guys that work in the department that are experienced investigators, and we try to push all of our more major crimes to them, and we're overloading them because they're having to take calls, they're having to patrol, they're having to serve civil, they're just, you know, a jack of all trades. And then we try to use them for investigations, which it's unfair to them, and it's unfair to the people of the county because they're not getting proper investigation done some of the time. So
you're talking about adding another person.
yes, it would be another position strictly for investigations. So it would be a detective position. Detective position. But that pretty much sums it up. The like I said, the colorful page up front. Some of you guys weren't lucky enough to get that, but the page up front actually breaks down the cost and what we would assume over time.
So where is that money going to come from? Are we going to have to add that to the budget every year and in essence increase? I mean, we're just
yes, that would be the assumption that we're at right now.
And then after year 6, we're going to keep them on and just have that a permanent.
Yes, sir. That would be the assumption. That's what we planned. If we can get this approved, that'd be what we were going for.
How quick would this be implemented if they approve?
So we're still in the process of getting it approved. As of now, there's still other phases that I have to go through. But as of now, we are within the budgetary limits, basically, that the governor's office has for that grant. So if we actually get approved for it by the governor's office, we are within that budgetary limit. So it would be next year that we'd actually be able to hire somebody on and implement it. So
When you say next year, you mean October or January?
for the fiscal year, so
Okay.
October.
You don't start budgeting this in our budget until next year because it's.
We were hoping that we could get it in, obviously, this year.
Is it a reimbursement or do we pay it and then they reimburse us, or for that first year that they pay it?
So for the first year, I'd have to double check on that to give you a 100% answer on that, but I believe that they pay it entirely. They would be putting the money in our account. So, yeah, but the initial amount on that would be, okay, would be a little over $82,000.
So we would pay the employee as an employee of Hutchinson County, and the state would just reimburse us for their salary.
I'd have to double check on that, but I believe that they actually deposit the money and then we would be able to utilize it at that.
Kathy estimate payroll through
Right.
payroll, so.
Right.
Yeah.
But they would
Go
be
back to
paid as Hutchinson County. They would
Yes.
just give us a lump sum to cover that salary.
Or
Yes.
monthly or something like that, yeah, probably.
So I know in this, as far as equipment, that's not in your figures, right? Like cop car,
So, no,
uniforms, stuff like that.
no, we didn't. There was limited things, there was limitations on the things that you could have daily. The way that it was worded loosely was the daily equipment that you would have, such as police cars, anything that you put on a belt, guns, handcuffs, and all like that, couldn't be allotted into that. They would only be able to do specialized tools, something that you could specifically attach to an investigator position or detective position.
Okay.
So,
So there would be,
That would be an addition.
there would be an increase to the budget for even this year. But
If you did a projected cost of what that will be, how much additional expense it will be for this coming year, not in years to come.
not with the equipment attached, no, sir. This is strictly on the salary of the person.
will they have to go to trainings and things as well?
Yes, I mean, like I said, we have two people that we sort of had in mind that could possibly fill the positions. That wouldn't require very much additional training at this time. But, ultimately in another body, there's, additional training at some point in the future.
I didn't read in the if, let's say, it didn't work out, are we, is there a penalty if we didn't, like maybe 2 years down the road, you're like, okay, we've got other things we got to focus on, and you
No.
ended that program, what would happen?
No, so to my knowledge, there's not going to be any penalty. And in reality, I actually have to apply for this grant every single year
Oh, okay.
until the completion of it. So it's not something that like a one and done. I would actually have to apply for it every single year.
Oh, okay.
So it's, would just be the initial grant, or it would be 3-year one.
Okay.
So you have to apply for it every year. You mean you just have to re-up, or you have to hope that they renew like the year 2 portion?
So I mean, I would have to go through the same exact process that I'm currently going through.
So after year 1, they could say, no, we're done. Y'all have to pay that completely.
There is a
Or they could just
possibility.
say that grant's not going to be awarded here. Then we would have to pay that out of pocket year 2.
There is a possibility, of course, I'm not gonna say that there's not that possibility. I know Moore County has done it and actually made it through the entirety of their first grant, and they're in the process of applying for their second grant, for their second person. So they've completed the first grant in its entirety. It's something it's not a new grant. It's not something that I foresee going away or disappearing. So I don't think that'll be an issue, but I couldn't say with absolute certainty, no.
And all we're doing today is giving you authorization to move forward with this grant.
With the signing of the resolution, it actually requires, it's like I said, it's a second to last page. It requires the signature of Judge Irwin, but it's, there it is. The resolution that has to be addressed to you all, commissioners.
So did I understand that none of the expense will happen in this current fiscal year?
So ultimately, we would like for it to, not the one that we're currently in, no.
Starting October.
Yes, we'd like for it to happen in October. That's something that we can, get in time and everything work out just right. But like you said, there's a possibility that it could get pushed back. I think I'm making it just a little bit easier on, of course, the first year is entirely paid. And, you know, as it goes, it just make it a little bit easier to handle the amount of hiring an additional person.
Salaries paid. The supplies and everything else aren't.
Supplies can be taken out of the original budget.
You gotta have a car. You got a vehicle for the investigator. So that'd be the biggest item.
So I don't think we'd have too much of an issue. And as far as equipment, the large majority of equipment that we all provide, we own. I mean, everything that I have, I own. There's, you know, like camera, things like that that gets provided inside of vehicles, but the large majority of things we already have. So as far as, you know, high resolution cameras, things like that, we have some really good cameras. There's stuff to work crime scene already. There's a lot of things that detectives already use that we actually are currently using. We would just have a specialized position to be able to utilize a lot of the equipment. So I don't foresee a huge expense off of the equipment.
But Marcel, are you talking about October 1st hiring someone? This October 1st or next October 1st?
So the grant actually would be approved for, not necessarily through them, but through the governor's office for October 1st of this.
Okay, and they would start paying us the money October 1st?
I have to double check exactly how that works, but yes, I believe so.
We sent this to Craig. What were the terms of?
So initially I sent it to him and to Judge Irwin. The last page on there has already been signed by Judge Irwin. And it wasn't one that had to go through. It was the certification required by CEO and head of law enforcement agency. It basically gave me the authority to push forward with the grant. So yes, I have spoken with them.
No, of course, I'm definitely for the grant, and I'll just give you an example. For some reason, and this is statewide, maybe nationwide, sexual assaults have increased. Adults, children, mostly children. Right now, currently, a deputy takes that call without he's responsible also for investigating that. But he's also taking calls. He's taking other reports that require investigation, but misdemeanors or even felonies. So we used to have a full-time investigator, which was Dirk Downs. That was under Guy Rouse. Some went back. And Dirk worked all the sexual assaults, mostly like felony 1 and felony 2 offenses, which would be burglaries, habitations, and mostly sexual assaults, and God forbid, like a homicide or something like that. This basically eliminates the responsibilities for a deputy who's working patrol and all of this stuff. Well, a full-time investigator would be able to focus their time on these cases. They're not, other than maybe filling in for a vacation or someone that's sick, that investigator can focus his full-time attention or her full-time attention on working sexual assaults and follow-ups and processing evidence, all that kind of good stuff. So that was one of, as far as me personally, one of my main reasons for the position was to they can focus and do good investigation. And plus, there are schools that they can go to, new investigator courses or specialized courses for sexual assaults, burglaries, just things like that. So that's kind of that's why I just want to let you know that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Does it muddy the waters if, let's say you hire someone and they only work for like 6 months and then they move on to something else and you have to rehire? I didn't read anything in the grant. It's
Very specifically saying like if
like you hire, let's say we approve this and you go ahead and hire someone they do it for 6 months and then they're like, okay, I'm gonna do something else, or you have to let them go. Then you hire someone else. Does the state go, wait a minute, what's going on here?
So it wouldn't be for an actual specified person in the
Okay,
situation.
that's
So it's
basically,
actually adding just the position. So hypothetically, if we had put somebody in the position that realized ultimately they didn't like it, we could swap them out, and, put a different person in the position.
As long as you have a position filled. You shouldn't make a
Yes,
difference.
yes, sir. Yeah, it just adds the position, so that it, not an actual person, per se, but an added position. So.
I would have liked to see, and I know it's kind of a guessing game at some point, just how much it would actually cost the department, especially since we're going into budget year, season. How much adding an extra personnel would impact the budget as far as equipment and training and all of that. But I understand those are kind of things that are kind of hard to guesstimate, I guess, per se, because you really don't know what will be needed other than the major equipment.
Yes, sir, definitely. And it's something that I will definitely look into. And, I'm glad you guys brought that up because I'll focus more interest on that. Like I said, I don't believe the initial cost to the department, other than the salary, would be what we would be looking at.
Okay.
I would think that the car would be the main thing, right?
Do you have a vehicle now that if you're putting someone on in October, say you're gonna need a vehicle pretty quick? Do you have a vehicle for that person for at least a period of time?
Yeah, they do. Yes. Also, when we're approaching RFP, sort of things too, so.
I think we have vehicles that we could utilize in the meantime until we have to get one. We don't have a specific vehicle. Yes, sir.
Can anyone speak?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Sorry.
You guys have any further questions? Be more than happy to answer what I could.
Do you have to know this today?
So, I mean, if this is something that you guys were wanting to table, I don't have to know it today, but it does. So traditionally, when you put in the grant, the resolution, the paper that I needed signed is one of the first things done and one of the first things signed. The only reason that it wasn't done in that order was because there was a time frame that I had to complete the grant and have it turned in. So I'd actually spoken to a couple people at the governor's office. They gave me the approval to turn in the grant. But they said, this is like the one thing you need to make sure you get done. So to answer your question, no, it doesn't have to be done today. Would I prefer the sooner the better, I guess.
Yeah.
But of course.
The resolution is dated February of 2022. Just FYI. It says pass and approve this blank of February 2022.
So I don't know. Yeah, I think that was just a copy. That was a copy of one of the ones, because I had made a packet prior to.
Okay.
And so I think that was just a copy of the packet that I had made.
Okay.
So I don't know necessarily that all of them didn't say that, or but I'd have to get a different one. That was for the packet.
Yeah.
I can assure you that the one that'll be signed won't be backdated.
Fix that typo, right?
That won't happen. So.
This is basically just adding another position when you're getting some help for 5 years, but the way I look at it, we do need another deputy, but
Yeah, and to add to that, we know that we can not just come to Commissioner's Court and ask for 2 or 3 more positions.
do what I couldn't hear.
So to add to this, we're doing what we can and not just come to Commissioner's Court and ask for 2 or 3 more positions and put the bearing weight on the county's budget. We're turning the clerk position into another deputy position, trying to use different ways to utilize different opportunities and things to add more positions. So this, I think, is one of the best ways to
bear the weight over a longer period of time rather than just dumping it on, and just taking it on fully.
Been in year 6 though.
Do what?
I mean, we dump it on year 6 though.
Of course,
So, I mean, we've gotta have
But if I come up here and ask for 3 or 4 different people. Go ahead, sir.
So where's the number? What, you added another deputy and we're still not enough. Where, like,
What do you mean we're
what's,
not enough?
you said that we're not enough
I didn't say we're not.
personnel. So we are enough
Yeah.
personnel? So we don't necessarily need this.
We are enough personnel to cover the hours that we have. However, adding another deputy as an investigator to focus on specific cases is what we're looking to do here.
Do you have an investigator frees up your other personnel? Is that right, to do their job?
She or he won't be taking any calls whatsoever.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, there's a dire need or situation. And I know that Mark has also harped on us for wanting an investigator for years now, and is also would be on board, I'm sure. So
We don't have an investigator currently.
we have one that we have tried to put in that position, but she's been taking calls and hasn't had the opportunity or ability to focus on her cases like she should be able to do because of the call volume and what she has to do. She gets in the middle of a case and then a cow call comes out in North County. She's got to get up, leave what she's doing in the middle of what she's doing, put the cow up, and then if something else happens, she's got to do that. So
This will be the first time you have a designated investigator.
So this is gonna be in-house or no?
What do you mean?
You said you have an investigator now. Are you gonna transfer her to this or are you gonna?
I would like to because of her training and experience. She's already been a detective before. That's who I would have in mind to do this.
But then that would take another deputy away.
It would open up a deputy position. At another position, which is not a big deal. Like I said before, we have the equipment and the ability already in our line items. I don't see why we need to add any extra expenses to our budget. We have weapons that we need. We have a uniform budget that's good. We have badges, different stuff like that. I don't see, other than a vehicle, which we can work out one way or another. I don't see any extended bearing of cost on the budget as it sits right now. I think we can take care of it out of the current budget that we have applied. That's all.
I have no problem with this.
I don't either. I think we need that.
I think we need to add a full-time investigator.
As we go into a crunch in our budget next year, I do want us to be conscious of what decisions we make today that will impact, of course. And I know I'm just stating the obvious that everyone always gets upset because I state the same obvious, but departments, please look at this. Every decision we make today does impact our budget for the next 2 years, which will impact our tax revenue and taxing of our citizens. I move to accept the resolution of the county commissioners of Hudson County authorizing submission of the fiscal year 2023 grant application to the governor's criminal justice division and all the rest of those words on this resolution.
So you're making a motion to?
I move, yes.
Okay, that's a lot of words.
Yes.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Item 17, consider and approve any ARP grant projects. You should have been sent the minutes that have all the projects. Go project by project. All right, so the first application is from Opportunities Center and Meals on Wheels. They submitted by Bertha Walker for $2,369.04 for the upgrade of 6 toilets. They are currently child size and they would like to replace more toilets. Committee in the minutes, they said the committee mentioned that the facility was used to provide vaccine during COVID.
I move to, I move to award the $2,369.04, the upgrade of the toilets at the Opportunity Center in Borger.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
All of these,
They will pay for it and we will reimburse them.
Yes.
We're not writing them a check for this right
No.
now. I just want y'all to be aware of that.
Oh, okay. I was saying no, like,
So the second one is from Opportunity Center Meals on Wheels as well. Submitted for $14,900 for repairing potholes, cracks, and trip hazards at the parking area. Also removing old carpet on the ramps and replacing with indoor-outdoor carpet.
so when y'all, these, I understand the toilet installation, but on this, are there bids submitted to the ARP?
Yes.
Like, okay, so this is an amount that y'all looked at and they had like a couple of bids or a
They
bid?
had a bid from A&M Construction.
Okay, so this is a company that's doing this
Yes.
repair?
Yes,
Okay.
they're not, the Opportunity Center themselves are not doing this.
I saw this quote from A&M Construction,
Yes,
but I didn't know if that's where they got the amount or that's who will be doing the work.
they got the amount from them and they want them to do the work.
Okay,
And the same with that, with the toilets, that Advantage Plumbing, that's who they got the price from.
They get multiple quotes or just someone?
I'm, from the meeting, they got, this is what they got.
so the pavement repair would fall under ARP grants.
It's because of the building. It's because the building was used for vaccination clinics and they help participate with the vaccinations.
The only issue is we're trying to get 3 bids whenever
Yeah.
we can get 3 bids. And that needs to apply to whoever else is going through the ARP as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Then-
I wasn't there for this meeting, but I agree with you on that.
Okay, well, then we can tell Opportunities to, on both of these to get 2 more bid, or, yeah,
I would recommend, they need to follow the same rules that we have to follow.
okay.
even for the
Bigger one.
$2,000 one?
Well, anything over 10,000, it's, we
Yeah.
need to get 3 bids, and we need to anyway, over 5,000, but
So do you want bids on the toilets from Advantage for the 2,300?
I don't think that'd qualify.
2,300, I would not say is required, but the 14,900, I would.
That goes past our 10,000 threshold in our purchasing thing.
So I need to tell Opportunity they need to get 2 more bids on this. This one for the paving and stuff.
Yes, for the 14,900.
So we'll probably need a motion to table that.
Yes.
So I'll make a motion to ask Opportunities to get bids, 2 more bids on the work to be done on the parking area.
Second it.
We have a motion and a second to table. All in favor? Third, application, a printer for the tax office here at the courthouse. Submitted by Carrie Kimmel, tax collector, for $12,330.17 to replace the old printer that has been broken since October 21. Not able to get parts for it. On this, it says 2 quotes were received for Tascosa office machines, because she's used them before, or she would like to use them. So that's the,
I couldn't find the third person that would have a large printer like that, so I didn't put 2 on. The printer I use in my office right now is from Tesco. So I know they will come out and service my. Broke down in October. It's real about the time they came back down.
I move to award the $12,330.17 to replace the printer in the tax assessor's office.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Next one, then this is one of yours, the north and south doors into the basement at the courthouse. I'll just let you talk about this one.
These are the entry doors coming into the basement, north, south end. They're getting in bad shape. And we've also put a locking system on them. I think IT's proposing, but this is just to replace the door itself and then upgrade the locking system, do it all at the same time. So and we've got, only had two bids that come back on that. So we sent out several, but only got 2 back. So I'd make a motion to accept the bid from Ben Swanger Glass for $10,922.50.
Second. Motion and a second. All in favor? Next one's the east and west doors to the courthouse.
Okay. The east and west doors do not need replaced. The wood doors that were put in, actually, they were put in 1999 and they cost a lot of money back then. It got bids to do the sanding and refinishing. There is no, someone brought up to replace them.
We did, the committee brought it up.
Okay. Here's the problem
Not
with,
to, I shouldn't say that, the committee brought it up to look at prices on the place.
well, can't get pricing on those without going to the historical commission.
Okay.
Because that changes the outside appearance of the courthouse. And these doors that were here were put in with the grant from the Historical Commission back in 1999. So I don't think they're going to be favorable with changing these out because they're in good shape. They just need to be refinished. So I would.
So we had 2, did you get 2 bids on that?
To refinish, yes. Yeah.
All right.
And actually, the bids were the same.
Okay.
So I would make a motion to accept the bid from Nicholas Duran to do the sanding and refinishing on the doors for $7,000.
A motion.
You made a motion.
I made a
We
motion.
have a motion. Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Okay. Next one is yours as well. The windows in the penthouse area on top of the courthouse.
Just on the top of the courthouse, what we call penthouse, which is just a little small deal. And there's 13 windows up there. Some point in time, they were boarded up with plywood, and that's the way they've been for years. The plywood's all rotted out. And actually, water can come in now. So we don't want to board it up again, but we do want to put windows back in there like it should be. And now that is not visible from anywhere, so we didn't go to Historical Commission for that. Because it's not a visible thing. And if you are okay with that, then these was going to use more of a residential type aluminum window that'll be there for a long, long time. So I'd make a motion to.
What's the bid?
13,000.
Yes.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, that's double. Yes, 13,000. I'd make a motion to accept the bid from Tim Taylor Construction for 13,000 to replace the windows.
Motion and a second. All in favor? Next one's the new lock system for the courthouse in the annex. Josh has resubmitted this. We tabled it so we could see if that was a sole source vendor. So they are a sole source vendor, so that is the pricing. And then that last sentence, it says the committee would like to wait on approval until the price is received to add a remote lock at the courthouse only.
I think the judge wanted to put a button at security desk downstairs so that they could be locked remotely.
I guess committee, I wasn't there that day, so the committee wanted to table this until we added that price.
Until we got a price on it.
We don't have a price for with the
No,
remote
not
locking,
with the remote locking.
so we just need to table it.
And that's remote locking for selling for the courthouse.
We're not gonna do the annex.
It's not,
You're not doing that next?
you're not doing,
Well, no, we wanted to.
oh, this bid is for the annex too.
Oh, I thought you said you were doing
Well,
it.
the remote locking is not for the annex, because we don't have anyone over there that could remote lock it, I guess.
Oh,
See what I'm saying?
yeah. I
But
get it.
no, this is for the annex too.
Yeah,
Okay,
it included the
okay, good,
locks
good,
for
good.
that next and the
Yes, it's
courthouse.
for the.
I
annex and the
misunderstood.
courthouse, the
Yeah.
locking system, yes.
Okay.
But this is all one bid, so we'll have to
Yeah.
table.
But we wanted to table
Table
it
the
until
whole
we
thing.
get a price. Evidently, Josh is gonna get a price on remote locking. For the courthouse.
So just table it.
We need a motion.
I moved to table it.
So
A motion and a second to table. All in favor? Next project, 80 light fixtures and installation in the county jail. Monica, do you want to talk about that? Or
The light fixtures that are over there now, basically, they don't have the light bulbs or those fixtures anymore. Everything is LED now. They look pretty much like what we have now. They're a couple inches smaller. We need 75. I asked for 80, so we would have a few on hand. We did get a bid from B&G Electric to do the work. I know they had mentioned trying to install them themselves, but I really think it's gonna be
Yeah.
a lot more than what we
Well, I think we
originally
need
thought.
a licensed electrician
Yes.
to put in lights in the jail.
I agree.
So-
Yeah.
So, I don't,
This is not for the entire jail though. I want to know that.
But they're in hallways, they're in
Yes.
individual cells, they're in dorms. I mean, they're all over the place. I
But
just
the
have-
it's throughout the jail. It's not all of the lights at the
Right.
top.
No,
Not
no,
all.
yeah, no, we have other fixtures, many more fixtures.
Right.
I did have to get this approved through the jail commission, and they did finally give me okay on Wednesday or Thursday.
This replaces all of the ones that don't have bulbs available.
Correct. All of the other ones are more
Are different
updated. They'll
kinds.
take the LED lights. They just don't make bulbs for these fixtures anymore.
I'll make a motion to approve the lighting.
oh, so
on the
good.
jail.
We have a motion and a second to approve the lighting. All in favor?
Lighting and installation.
Yes. Yeah, I guess that's including the installation, Gary.
That was an
with-
additional $80,000.
Yeah, the total $44,676.
Now, the gentleman that gave me the quote on that, Edgar from B&G, I understand he doesn't work there anymore,
He quit last Friday.
but I'm going to reach out to B&G when I get back over to my office and see if they are still gonna honor that quote. If not, I may have to get another quote.
Do you want to include that in your motion?
Is-
Yeah, depending on.
You also check to make sure that this bid is still good, because it's been a while
On the lights.
on the lights.
Yes,
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, recently.
yes,
So,
I do have an updated one.
Yeah,
That one
okay.
still has the old date.
because these bids typically aren't good for the 30 days anymore.
Yes. That one is good. The one when I asked for an update, it's good until sometime in July.
Okay, I'll include that in my motion.
Installation included? Okay. And then,
Can I speak on one other thing that we were approved for?
Okay.
That heating unit that I had asked for my 3-man cell, I think it was 5,000 or
I don't have that. with
between
me.
5 and 7, I'm gonna say. It was a bid from Audrey. We had cleaned some of the ducts and stuff out there, and we have a professional that's supposed to come do some more duct work cleaning. I think that is probably gonna fix our problem, so I need to give that money back.
That was approved for ARP.
Yes, it was, several times ago.
That's unusual. That's
Yes,
awesome.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
I've never heard that here.
Yeah, I don't know how to make a motion to return money. I never did that before.
Given out. huh?
This is something new.
Well, it's not been spent.
No,
So-
no, you're not giving it back. Just having it spent.
We just can't, just like the AED, we just.
Take the
cancel it out.
earmark off of it.
Well,
Yes.
I wanted to ask this question before since we were working out the details. B and G, I didn't read that there were more bids on that from other electrical companies. Was it just B and G or was there a reason for just going to B and G?
Because he comes when we call. Caltex doesn't like to work inside the jail. I've been told that by them personally.
It
When
is-
we were using them,
It is very difficult to get somebody to work in the jail. And we've had a lot of problems getting electricians and stuff here at the courthouse too. We finally got someone that was pretty good and actually he quit last Friday, so we got to start over.
So did y'all reach out and ask the other electrical companies?
I called Dwayne.
That was
And
Caltex.
he's Caltex, and he doesn't even return my calls anymore. It's kind
I
of-
mean, I don't have a preference. I don't really know anybody, but I was just curious because we're talking about needing bids, needing bids, and then
It's kind of
we
the
only have
same
one.
issue.
It's confusing to me. So
It's kind of the same issue with the plumbing. When I need a plumber, I need them like now. And our local plumbers don't like to come out at night, and you can't almost never get them to come out on the weekend. And, having 60 people over there, 50 people over there. That's why I started using Allen's. They are a little more expensive, but I can get them to come out. So you don't really have a choice when you need somebody now.
I was just
Agree with
curious.
Monica. It's very hard getting some of these contractors to come out.
Well, I understand also the jail's a little, I mean, you just don't want anybody to go in there and do electrical.
Well, and there's some of these companies that just don't want it because it is a jail.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be kind of daunting a little bit. I was just curious.
You need to come check it out real good.
Let them lock the door behind you.
Y'all would leave me in there. I know y'all would.
Did we vote on that?
On the light fixtures, yes.
Yeah. I was just
All
curious.
right, no, you're good. I just want to make sure before we voted on. Anything else on that one? All right, so next one is yours, Dwight.
Yes.
Active nuisance abatement complaint cleanup.
So I'm actually finishing some of Dale's work that he started, and this has been a long process, actually. And I didn't want to take away our road and bridge crew, and so I thought, hey, let's go to a third party and see about some property cleanup. And I was focusing on companies that work within Hudson County, so we could get back to our citizens if they had any cleanup construction companies. We reached out to 3 and only one submitted a bid back. And so this is from for a property on 9710 North Griffin Lane in Sanford Estates. And the bid that we received back was $17,544, and that's complete cleanup of that facility. It's a tore down trailer or rundown trailer house and some stuff scattered all throughout the property there. And so originally we were going to approach the ARP because we had 15,000 already in the budget for nuisance abatement cleanup. And when we approached ARP board, Jerry said they approved the whole 17,544, leaving the 15,000 in the budget for the other down the street project. And so those will be 2 projects that Dale Herb started. And I'd like to get your approval to release the 17,544 of the ARP funds to the company. It's not on here. The GQ construction company. I can't remember their actual name.
Have the taxes been paid on this property?
No, so the way
we take over the property once we cleaned up.
Yes, and I would love to tell you, and I've done this from a municipality stance before. You basically put a lien on the property for the amount of the cleanup. The sad thing is, very rarely do we ever get that recouped. I've never, in all the years I've done it, we might put a lien of $10,000 on and maybe get 4,000, maybe. So the problem is if we put the lien on for this 17.5, it costs more to clean it up than it probably would to sell the property. And so we're basically just providing a service for the community and cleaning up a nuisance property that is.
With that lien, if the property is sold, we'll get all that money.
Well, the property, after we clean it up, it's just going to be a clear spot. Property, Dwight's estimate only, will probably only sell for 15,000, and that's at the high end. And so we're basically just cleaning up a property. And I hate to say, sadly, probably going to eat a lot of that. So we could say we want to put a $5,000 lien on it. Because if we overprice it, that property is just going to sit there and sit there and sit there, and no one will buy it if it's overpriced. And so
These kind of properties are never ending.
yeah,
You never get them cleaned.
yeah, it's going to be well, this will be cleaned up and be done. There won't be any, there won't be a structure there anymore that will house rodents and squatters, but it'll be a vacant property, undeveloped property after we're done.
This is outside the city limits of Sanford.
This is actually in what we call Fridge Fortress over by, over by the, actually grew up on Griffin Lane as a kid, but it's over in that area. So like you're going to Fridge Fortress, it's the third road before you turn on Fridge Fortress. If you go left or right. Yeah. Watch it.
This will never end. So, I mean, I don't know how you ever get enough money.
No, we won't. There's never, we just have to say no after a while or try to do some kind of community thing. But again, there's a process in a nuisance abatement. You have to go through the court. The court has to put you have to send them the adequate time to let them do something. And if they don't, then you move forward. So the process could be 6 months to a year before we actually get a property that we can clean up. So it's not something we go, oh, that's messy, let's get that cleaned up next month. It takes a process. The court has to issue citation and then we take on the property. And because we cleaned it up, we can charge the property owner or put a lien on the, or if they sell it.
Another thing with that is this property is the landowner has passed away in the process of doing that. So as far as the landowner itself, we're not able to go to the landowner for any cost directly from county. That's why the county would have to place that lien on the property. So if it was sold or there's a title transfer, that lien has to be taken care of before the property is sold. That's what it'll come to y'all, and you'll have to decide if you want to reduce the amount of the lien or what that number is on the lien to sell the property. That would be the commissioner's court decision.
I wish we could clean them all up. I just wish people would be more responsible for their own stuff.
Yeah. So I move that we release the funds to $17,544 for property cleanup on nuisance property cleanup at 9710 North Griffin Lane in Sanford Estates.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? All right. Then the last one was tabled. Now it's the digital agenda. They will talk about that at the next meeting.
Tears.
And then just so you know, on the minutes, you saw that Golden Plains Hospital, City of Fritch, and the Border Pharmacy have all withdrawn their applications. And they discussed if the committee was still needed. They decided to still continue to meet. And I don't know, did they set a date for the next
No, we didn't.
meeting? Okay. Is it on those? Number 18, consider and or approve the burn ban or rescind the burn ban.
Currently, the route next is showing Hudson County at a 460 with, looking back over, since we've lifted the burn ban, we haven't had any fires contributing to cases of outdoor burning. Right now, we're kind of in that, as far as the numbers, we're increasing in the numbers just because of temperature and humidity and moisture, but as far as the drought index is showing that number as a 460. We also have a lag period in there where we have some green up. So I think that's helping out a lot on the green up side of it, keeping anything, like I said, we hadn't had anything as far as fire to be started by prescribed fires or control burns. But say no action at this time, but as long as the numbers keep rising, we start moving from this into that yellow to the dark orange. That means we're starting to increase into our drought. More, but this area on the eastern side of the panhandle, say in the current burn bans, in Texas, or in the panhandle, and see where it's starting to grow our direction. So I'd say with no action at this time.
No action on that. Number 19, consider and approve disposal of obsolete office equipment. Okay. Number 20, accept certificates of completion from elected or appointed officials.
I just have one. I, Carrie Camel, the tax assessor collector, submitted certificate of attendance for the 88th annual conference.
21, consider and approve request for use of the club rooms at Border Library or Fridge. I don't have any.
I don't either.
Consider and approve. Number 22, consider and approve line item changes, transfers, or budget amendments.
I don't have any today.
Number 23, consider and approve advertising, opening, accepting, or awarding bids.
I don't have any. And then the road and bridge, their ads are running. I can't remember the open date. I didn't bring it with me, but it's
What?
for the asphalt and aggregate
Oh,
road and bridge.
Yeah. That's we approved last.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Number 24, consider and approve donations to Hutchinson County. Anybody? Nope. All right. Number 25, accept reports from elected appointed officials.
The only one I have is Dwayne's written report.
26, discussion of county judges and commissioners precincts daily operation.
They're putting pavement down on the 21 airstrip. So things are coming along.
Item 27, consider and or approve sale of struck off tax properties and tax deeds. I didn't have any.
I know it's a first, but I didn't either.
Then 29, budget work session for the budget of 22-23. So you got the, I'm sure you got the certified, the estimated values, the update on that. Start setting the information as we go. But today do we have the Hutchinson County Crisis Center? Okay. We have some people from the Hutchinson County Crisis Center just to give a presentation during this and just let us know what they're up to. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
I was trying to email them to Judge Irwin last week, but every email I send her comes back and I end up having to forward it to her. Thank you.
Well, I'm here for our annual plea for money. My name's Natalie McGee. I am the program director for the Hutchinson County Crisis Center. I want to thank you all for your time today and for your continued support of HC3. It's much appreciated. These funds allow us to do things that our grants through the state don't sometimes allow us to do. There was mention of a lot of sexual assaults in our county. That number continues to rise all the time. We use those funds maybe for, gas to transport a client. to the bus station to get away from the or just, fuel in our vehicles to get the client to a SAN exam, to the Ridge for an interview. So just a little overview of our services, like that, I said, transportation, legal assistance, intervention, accompaniment, the relocation services. From last fiscal year, which would be September to August, we had a total of 202 victims. Of those, 133 were sexual assaults. And of those sexual assaults, 76 of those were under the age of 18. So they were all children. We ended up helping with 15 victims relocated somewhere else. That may not sound like a whole lot, but for somebody that has nowhere else to go, they have family in California or New York, we're able to provide them with a bus ticket or plane fare, whichever's cheaper. And so these are just some of the things that we can do with this funding that you all provide us annually. Much appreciated. I really don't have a whole lot more. I didn't want to take up a whole lot of anyone's time. If anybody has any questions, Judge Irwin has my contact info. I'll be more than happy to provide any more detail on these items, but we really do want to thank you all for your continued support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In times past, when we donate the county, do we get like a financial report from those entities?
We ask for them.
Okay.
And I believe that we need to have some sort of agreement between anyone that we have, like any outside agency that we provide money for. We cannot legally donate money. We have to have some sort of written agreement between the two entities, like we do with the dispatch or, different entities. So before we can award this, we'll need to get some sort of agreement.
Okay, I figured as much.
That's a standard thing.
I can look and see what other counties use. Craig, look over it, make sure.
Anything else? Item 30 is to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. It's my job.
Second.
A second to adjourn, all in favor.